Corgi.
Corgi can act, he can sing, he can dance. How many other people can do that in this world? Only one. Barbara Streisand.
Summer's off, listeners. Oh, it's so good to be back.
Can I get a season 6?
What? Season 6?
I have a question for everybody.
To start?
Yeah, and that is, who actually thought that we were going to be doing this for 6 seasons? How many of you, if you're just being honest with yourselves, would have said, nah, I bet they make it like to season 2 and they give up this whole shenanigan after like 15, 20 episodes?
Podcasts are hard, y'all.
They are. They're hard to maintain for sure.
It's
That's why we do
work.
it seasonally.
Yeah,
because if we were
that's
trying
true.
to do this all year round,
Oh, never.
we would have flamed out like 20 weeks in.
Yeah. Oh, easy style.
And look at us now.
That's very generous.
Look at us now. We have over 60 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys caught the Valentine's Day episode, Cruel Intentions.
Yeah.
Hopefully you caught Christmas,
Mhm.
Home Alone.
Yes.
And then Halloween was?
Halloween?
Yes.
Honestly, it's really hard to think back that far. That was the last time we were in here, were
Yeah.
those episodes.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, it's so good to be back. That intro music, I'm ready. I'm jazzed. I think we have a really good season for you.
Spicy season, I would say.
I'm excited.
Very, very spicy.
It sounds like you're trying to cue them to something, but we already did Spice World. So.
Yeah, we did. We did. I mean, it's saucy. It's a saucy season.
It's a saucy season. Before we get into maybe more talk of the season or maybe how some of our first few episodes are so special, can we just like get a little recap of life with us? Like,
Sure.
listeners, give us about like a minute. So if you want to just like roll ahead and like, guys,
No,
whatever, I
just
know
tell
what's
them-
new with you, whatever, just go ahead.
There's an option kind of like, so Rach and I use this app called Voxer, and she gets really offended because it's like you're leaving voicemails for each other or voice messages for each other, and you can play these on 2 or 3 times speed. She's caught me playing her messages on 3 times speed, and she's incredibly offended. But
It's offensive.
But here's what I'm going to tell you, Summer's Off listeners, if you want to listen to this next part on 2 times speed, I will not be offended.
I'm just going to say just jump ahead, like push that 15-second button like 5 times. Maybe 4 times now that we've said that. Okay. So, Ty, before we get back to the podcast, we'll start with that. Let's do a little life update and then we'll
Sure.
dive deep into what it is we do and
Sure.
and how we do it. How are you? How is your
I'm
life?
so good.
Do you have any things that you want to share
Sure.
with listeners out there?
Yeah, I will. By the time you're hearing this,
Mm-hmm.
a video will have been released that will be very goofy, be very wrestling centric if you're a wrestling fan, and it'll be very Rach centric. So you'll see her in all her glory playing many different characters of wrestling lore. It'll be hilarious, it'll be awesome. But in that video, you will see that I am going back to school again for now. Let's count post high school. I went to college now 4 times, and I will not be a doctor yet, but after this next round, I will be a doctor. So, and like all the other times where we're like, hey, I went to school as much as a doctor, and I'm just this guy who wants to teach. Now we'll officially be able to say, I am a doctor.
Yeah.
The doctor is in.
If you want to be called doctor, we're gonna have to like relearn some norms because I'm not gonna remember that.
Well, my parents already said that they don't believe that people who aren't medical doctors should be called doctors. And so they said, it doesn't matter how much schooling I get, how many accreditations I have, they will never call me doctor. I can already tell you that.
Got it. Well, at least you know where you stand.
But this all means we're moving.
We're moving. This summer.
Don't worry. There'll be a brand new studio closet wherever we move into, I promise. The studio closet won't come with us, but the clothes will, and they will dampen that sound. They'll warm it up, and it will be great.
Yep. You will experience no outage in your summers off episodes, I think.
Yeah, no, they won't.
I'm sure we'll be so good at just releasing every week, even in the thick of it.
Yep. The Halloween episode will probably come from a new studio closet. So that'll be the moment they can look forward to.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned a Halloween episode because there is actually something else happening pretty largely in our lives that might be in and around that time.
Sure.
We have another guest with us today.
Yes,
Ty,
we do.
Do you want to introduce our guest?
So we're big into not having guests. I know some of our friends and family and loved ones and fans have all requested, like, hey, what if I was on the podcast? And we're like, I know, that would be cool, but we kind of have a two-person thing here. The closet's not very big.
It's so snug.
But this is the first time. Well, actually, we had Giz on one podcast, our little Morky.
Yeah, we had our puppy there.
Yep, she was there for one podcast episode, but this is now going to be a recurring guest, a brand new permanent recurring guest for Summers Off podcast. We have a baby with us.
Ty and I are expecting.
Yep.
We've got a little baby. We've got a little baby girl in the oven right now.
Yep.
So she will be joining us. Right now, she's not going to say much, but I would imagine as the summer goes on, she might have some opinions, and you guys will get to hear all about them.
Yep. You'll have to let us know, like, when she kicks and hits and stuff, and you're like, oh, she disagreed with you there, Ty.
Oh, I will. I'll let you know.
And make sure the audience knows that.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so maybe that was a couple minutes. Who cares? That's what's brand new with us. A lot, Avi. Let's talk more specifically about the podcast. So let's say maybe this is the first time you're listening, or maybe you haven't listened to us in a while. Let's do just a quick little spiel about what it is that we do on this podcast and why it's so awesome.
Yeah, so we do this podcast to make money. So we're all about sponsorships, and we have lots of ads. No, I got approached for more ads during our off season.
Did you really?
I don't know. I never told you that. And I was just like, I just don't want to do it. I want to be like, yeah, so Hey, Keeps for Men is a great product you should use. It's awesome. And Rach, do you want to talk about something else? Like, I don't know. It just didn't feel like us. So we are just a mom and pop shop. We started to put it on this podcast because we like to make lists of movies for each other to conquer. And we formulated this bad boy because we used to say, like, let's put it on the list if there was a movie that you hadn't heard before. And being educators, we have our summers off. And so we use this time to really sit down and conquer these lists that we've created for each other.
All the homework.
This usually develops itself in a way where it looks like Ty watches like the most moronic movies that are stupid, full of testosterone, are like dumb comedies, are from his childhood that like Rach just never watched. And Rach usually either watches like Oscar movies or like the junkiest chick flicks you've ever heard of in your entire life. That's generally like the consensus for how we tackle these.
It is a good balance, I would say. There's something in this for everyone. Again, if you like certain episodes, or if you only listen to like maybe some of the chick flick episodes, I would recommend get after some of those other ones. Yeah. It's kind of a mixed bag. It's fun. But yeah, so we have picks for each other this summer. And typically, like Ty said, we try to go with a movie that the other person hasn't seen. So it's brand new to them, which, believe it or not, very much limits our rep of what we usually pull from, because a lot of time we watch a lot of movies, right?
Yep. You say that, but I have like a list that we could do 10 more seasons tomorrow.
Okay.
We're good.
I guess I haven't seen near as many movies that Ty has seen, but that being said, we are going to start off a little bit different. So this year, maybe just for pure selfish reasons, we had some movies that we just wanted to revisit. And maybe these movies are top fives for us, I would say.
They are top fives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said maybe, but I knew.
They are. They definitely are.
And so we just wanted to start off with a couple of movies. I'm going to do 2, and Ty's going to do 2 of our all-time favorite movies. And then we'll get back into our typical format of exploring the world of cinema through each other's eyes.
Yep. I always say this to people too, and I've got feedback that this is a pretty good way to tackle our podcast, is to first find an episode of a movie that you love or that you're pretty familiar with, and go on that journey to start with, and then you'll be like, oh, I kind of get what you do here, and you can listen to us talk about movies that you haven't seen. The way we tackle, we're not like, oh, so the cinematographer in the scene at 13 minutes and 10 seconds was George Harbagosh. Like, it's not like that kind of podcast. We're not cinephiles. We're movie lovers, not cinephilic people.
We make
Is cinephilic a word? Cinephalic. How about that?
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. Got a boner for movies.
Oh, shit.
PG-13, by the way. We are a PG-13 podcast.
We try.
Rach tries to keep us PG. I try to get us to go R. We meet in the middle.
Oh, on that note, Are you ready?
Yeah.
Should we get into it?
I've been ready.
You've been ready. All right. For the first episode, season 6, Ty, what did I pick for you this evening?
You picked Waiting for Guffman. So did you know Waiting for Guffman is a play on like Waiting for Godot?
I did know
Classic
that.
theater.
Did you know that?
By Sam Beckett, yeah. But then there's this debate, and my buddy would say it's not. One of my best friends would say it's not a debate. He'd say no, it's Godot. There's no debate. That is what it is. But everybody says Godot.
Oh.
And so I think there's also some debate on this movie. Is it Waiting for Guffman or is it Waiting for Guffman?
I didn't hear that. Can you do that one more time?
Yeah, Waiting for Guffman or is it Waiting for Guffman?
Yeah, it's definitely Waiting for Guffman. But,
oh, okay.
But I'm glad you already got into the Godot stuff, so I don't even have to like hint at that.
Yeah.
Yes, that is what this the title is based off of. Is a famous play. Who?
Samuel Beckett.
Beckett.
Yep.
Go no kitten.
No kitten.
No kitten. This came out in 1990. Do you have a guess? I just started you off there. You're so close.
I would say 95.
Close. 96.
Oh, okay.
It was probably being filmed.
So we were in?
Third grade. There we have it.
Yep.
I didn't see this until I was in high school.
Oh, you saw it in high
Maybe
school?
College.
I didn't see it till college.
Maybe freshman, or I was either a senior or in high school or a freshman in college.
Okay.
And I had my eyes opened.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you see other Christopher Guest movies before this one?
I had seen Best in Show before this.
Yeah, me too. That was the first one I saw.
Best in Show, I wonder if is maybe out of all of them, maybe one of the more mainstreams. Obviously, this is Spinal Tap is probably pretty popular for a lot of people. That was just came back in like mid 80s, and so I was a bit young for that one. But yeah, I definitely had seen Best in Show before this, and then didn't realize that this is kind of a recurring group or troupe, really, that does these mockumentary styles.
Yeah, they are pretty much. They're an acting troupe.
Yeah.
They stay together and they're like, hey, what do we want to make this one about? And then they just keep exploring like random stuff.
Yeah. So, Waiting for Guffman, Ty, if you could give us just a short little synopsis for most people who haven't seen this. This is an obscure film. I understand that. I get that you listeners have probably not seen this. Here's what I'll say. I think you can still listen to this this episode without watching it, and I hope it piques your interest.
Sure.
And I hope you want to find it. It's on, what do we find it on, Prime?
Yeah, it's on Prime. You have to pay for it, but it's on Prime.
You have to pay for it. It's on Prime, which is better than what it was because it used to be almost impossible to find.
You couldn't find it. You'd have to go to eBay to buy an old DVD because it was not available for streaming anywhere, just like 5 years ago. So, okay, this movie.
Yeah, what's it about?
Corky St. Clair is a New York actor. Well, he was a sailor, but he landed in New York with nothing but a pair of a dance belt and some chapstick.
A dance belt and a tube of chapstick.
Yep. And he just got beaten down by New York and about the theater in New York, just like nobody gave him a chance. Nobody appreciated his talents. So he found his way to Missouri.
Missouri, for those of you who don't speak Missouri.
Yeah, yep. So he's in Mizzou. My buddy would hate that. I call him Mizzou. He's in Mizzou, and he's in this small town, and they treat him like he is like the god of theater, like the king of theater. Yes. He, just because he comes from New York, he must know everything there is to know about theater, and he runs this community theater, and they're putting on a show for the sesquicentennial, 150 years.
Yes, thank you for clarifying how many years is that for a town.
Yep. And then he casts a bunch of these random folks in the town. One works at the Dairy Queen, one's the dentist, two are travel agents. And so they have these like other random lives, and we get to see how they create community theater together. And it's done in a style that's very interesting because it's not like your typical script. They're like frequently talking over each other, and they give, and you'll talk about this, I'm sure, they give the semblance that most of it is improv.
Yeah, this little mockumentary style. So if you're not as familiar with that genre, something more popular would be like The Office or Parks and Rec are technically done in a mockumentary style. So you have
interviews.
You have interviews. You have like the sense that there's a live camera crew there, kind of catching these moments. Coincidentally, it is one of my favorite styles of movie or film. That's the same thing. Movie, film,
it's funny,
or TV.
I didn't even catch that, though. This is one of my favorite styles of movie or film, both.
Music videos.
Cinema.
I love a mockumentary music video.
Yeah, very good.
I don't know. It hasn't aged on me yet. I'm sure it will, and maybe it already has for most, but there's something about it. I just love it so much.
This movie was your pick.
Yes.
We just told the audience that we're picking top fives.
Yes.
So I think we can deduce this movie's in your top 5.
Yes.
And so because of that, here's what I'll say. As somebody else who has a very established top 5, it's never going to change your whole life.
Yeah.
You need to just prepare that this movie is going to be in your top 5 forever. It might fall out of the 5, but it's going to at least be in top 10. Like certain movies they're never going to change.
After watching this movie again, I was all the more confirmed that this is my favorite movie of all time.
Whoa!
This is number 1 for me. I thought it before. It's always been written as number 1 in my little notes on my phone.
Yep.
But it confirmed it. I just watched it and I just smiled the whole time. And I thought, yes, I love, love, love this movie.
Do you have any other movies in your top 5 that we've watched on Summers Off?
That is a good
I know you have
question.
some top teners.
I would say I have things that are just outside the top 5.
Like You've Got Mail and League of Their Own. Those are top teners.
So we talked about this once. There's you got a top 10 list, right? But everyone knows between 6 and 10
there's 20 movies.
There's an infinite amount of movies.
I literally have a list on my phone called top 10 movies, and my top 5 has been solids for 10 years, 15
solid.
years. But the 6 through 10 is comprised of 20 movies.
Yes.
And I will always say oh yeah, that's a top 10 movie for me.
It's the math doesn't add up.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't matter. They're all in the top 10.
Top 10. Top 10 for sure.
Yep.
Easy style. This is number 1 for me.
Wow.
So there it is. I put myself out there. America, take it or leave it. I hope you enjoy it. If not, don't tell me. Don't tell me about it. Tagline for this. There's a good reason some talent remains undiscovered.
Very nice.
So our director / writer / kind of creator of this, Christopher Guest. What do you know much about Christopher Guest other than he's in this film? And I know you knew he directed it and wrote most of it, but
and then he does all those movies, Mighty Wind.
Yes. Yep, he's the
Best
director
in
of
Show,
those 2.
Spinal Tap, and then he acts in this one and in Spinal Tap. He's not in Best in Show, is he?
He is in Best in Show.
Who's he playing Best in Show?
He has the Bloodhound in Best in Show.
Oh.
Harlan Pepper, maybe?
That's him.
Yep, that's him. He just looks so different.
He does. He transforms himself. So I just watched Spinal Tap for the first time today. And his character in Spinal Tap compared to his character in this movie are so drastically different. He's super talented.
Yes. I would agree. He didn't direct Spinal Tap. He just acted in it. Rob Reiner was
Yes, that's right. I actually saw that.
Was the director of that, but he was a part of the screenplay writing of that.
Yep.
So already kind of started to cut his teeth a little bit on Spinal Tap, and then really just fell in love with that style of storytelling, right? Also, who co-wrote this with him? Eugene Levy.
Oh, yes. I remember seeing that in the credits.
Yes. The 2 of them co-wrote together. This was actually the first time that they had written anything together. And Eugene at first, or maybe I should call him Levy. I don't know. What's the best way to talk about
Call
Eugene?
him Genie.
Gene. Mr. Gene.
Yeah, Mr. Gene.
Was surprised and shocked. And he kind of thought it was a joke at first because he knew who Christopher Guest was, but he hadn't really done a whole lot. And he thought oh, you want me to write with you? Really? Christopher Guest had seen him before on Second City TV.
Yep. Okay.
So that must be
some Chicago TV.
Yeah,
right?
is it out of Chicago? Second City.
Oh, I mixed that and the Groundling. Groundlings are L.A., Second City, Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago.
So, and Second City, for some of you who may not know, is kind of a pretty popular improv group where a lot of people get their start. A lot of SNL veterans have done some time on Second City.
Yep.
Would you say? Is that the simplest way to explain that?
Yeah, I just know a lot of actors in general who go do it, even if they're not like comedic actors.
Yeah. It's
good
kind
training.
of the creme de la creme. So Christopher Guest got the idea for Waiting for Guffman when he saw one of his kids' shows at school. The play was Annie, Get Your Gun.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever seen that?
No.
I've never either.
No.
I don't even know what it's about.
But isn't Annie, Get Your Gun the one, anything you could do, I could do better? Is that Annie, Get Your Gun?
I think so.
Oh, gosh.
No.
I'm a bad musical theater
You are
kid.
bad, and you're pulling us down with you.
Yeah, I know.
I'll let you search that, and while you're searching that, I'm going to read to you what he said about the night that he saw Annie, Get Your Gun at his kids' school.
Okay.
He said, there were all these kids with handlebar mustaches, and he thought it was just hilarious and sweet at the same time and wanted to translate that into a movie.
How old were these kids?
Probably middle school, I would imagine.
There's something so funny about the smaller the kid is, the more they're trying to act like an adult. I really want to start a theater company where we play all the young, like ingenue leads. Like we're always like the 20-year-olds, and everybody around us are played by like really little kids that have like, so if we were in Oklahoma, right? So and like Ada Lanny and like all those ancillary characters, but then also like all the older characters, they're all like 5th grade on down. Like the younger the better. Like if we could really like have the fake mustaches going in the overalls and be like, I don't know, Sonny, that's a good idea. Like that's what I want. Then
you and I just live out our best dreams. And play all the dream roles we
like
ever wanted.
Thoroughly Modern Millie, we got cast as Millie and Jimmy again. That's surprising.
Very good.
But Trevor Graydon is like this 10-year-old kid.
Yeah, dreams come true.
Sincerely, Trevor Graydon.
That's a bit too niche. You got to go something more popular than
Phantom of the Opera.
There you go, Phantom of the Opera.
We're Raoul and Christine, and there's a 10-year-old kid who's the Phantom. That's what I want.
That I would pay to see that.
I think it's funny.
Well, Guest said he was just drawn to the idea of how earnest everybody was and how devoted they were to doing the best performance they could, even at the level that they were working at. And so there was an earnestness, a sincerity there that he wanted to somehow translate into a film.
Sure.
I would say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think you nailed it.
Yeah, definitely.
Mr. Guffman brings with him a reputation, something bigger than anyone in this town has ever known. And if I am to get back to New York City on my terms, I cannot deliver him a stinky product. I really have to be presenting him a package, a beautifully wrapped, glossy, sweet-smelling show.
I don't know if for those of you who have ever done community theater, I love community theater. It's about all I do, really.
That's not true. Rach has done some professional gigs. Don't let her lie to you.
Okay. Well, anyways, the majority of what I've done is community theater, and so I have a soft spot in my heart for it. But I also am very able to see the silliness of some of the personalities that come with your community theater.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't you say that there are certain like types, and they're almost, it's not the same type of person everywhere, but there's usually, you have a couple of types. You got somebody who maybe has been with them, like the workhorses, right? People who have been in every show. They're always there. They're always maybe not like ever like the leads, but they're always like you said, like an ancillary character or an extra or something.
And they love to tell stories about the past. Yes. They're like, oh my gosh, how fun was it when we did that production? And oh my gosh, we did this other production with so-and-so. Oh, have you met so-and-so? You're going to love them. They'll be at the show opening night for sure.
I know. It's like, there's a part of me that's like, I kind of can't wait to be that, and I kind of like am horrified to be that. I don't know which it is yet.
Sure.
Which way my life will go. But there's a very good possibility I could end up being that person when I get older doing community theater. Anyways, I just love the host of characters that are very relatable if you're into musical theater. Again, if you're not, then maybe some of this seems a little bit foreign to you. There's a lot of inside jokes with theater
I think
kids.
you could just see that this is like such extreme characters, though, no
Yes.
matter what.
It's
like
funny
Best
no
in
matter
Show.
what, right? Yeah.
If you have a dog, it's funny. It's going to be funny. But even if you don't have a dog, it's still funny. It's like dog people are stupid and silly.
So great.
Just like theater
It's the
people.
most important thing to them.
As a theater person, we're freaking ridiculous. Like we're sometimes the worst human beings on the planet.
Well, I don't know that.
We are. We can be. We can be awful, but we can also be wildly eccentric and delightful.
Absolutely. So for casting, Guest doesn't typically audition his actors. What he likes to do instead is he likes to have a conversation with them. And he feels like he has it down to about a science where he can have like about a 10-minute conversation with somebody and know whether or not they're capable of doing what he needs them to do in this style, in this movie.
Interesting. Because his casts aren't that big.
His casts aren't that big, and that's also why he keeps a lot of the same people, because it's a trust piece, and he also knows, like, oh, so-and-so can do this, so-and-so can do this. I'm going to keep going back to that group again.
Yep.
Yeah, because one of the pieces that is so interesting, and you had kind of talked about this before, it feels improvised. It very much is.
Yeah.
It's a strong improvised. In fact, really, there's no script at all. What there is that Guest and Levy like to make little cards for each scene. And so he says for each scene, like there's probably like 100 cards for the whole movie, right? And each scene has like a beginning, middle, and an end. This is the information that has to come out in this scene.
Yeah.
How you get there is up to you.
Sure.
It's up to all of you. They spend a lot of time creating the bios for each of the characters, so the character knows everything about themselves. So then it's up to that actor who has that character to decide, this is how my character would respond or listen or react to that information or that news.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times the filming is, he says on average they do about 3 or 4 takes of each scene. And they don't know. He doesn't know what's going to happen. Sometimes they have certain things that they'll go back to. He said, but for the most part, it's usually something different every time, which is, I don't know. It would be exhilarating and like terrifying. And I don't know. Would you like that style? Would you love it?
Okay, let me tell you about an experience I had. I think I maybe have even told this story on the pod. I can't remember. So I was in Death of a Salesman, and I was playing Biff. And I knew that character so well. We did an exercise when we were late in the process. And he had us like have a dinner as a family. It's not a scene in the script.
Yeah.
It was just this like improv session that we did, where we kind of built out this backstory. And we all knew our characters so well that the dinner, it lasted a long time. I mean, we're talking like 20 minutes to a half hour. And it started about how you would think, and then it gradually broke down between Biff and Willie, like little snipes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then finally it ended with me like throwing stuff off the table and be like, I'm out of here, I'm gone, and leaving the room. And so when you know your character well enough, you can do this.
Yeah.
It's possible. And you know what else did a similar thing that we definitely did an episode about? It's Friday Night Lights.
Yeah,
where
that's
they had
right.
like, hey,
They did
here's
do
the
that.
direction we're going. You guys just talk, and that's why there's so much overlapping, and there's just like stuff that felt so natural and real because those guys just knew their characters so well.
Yes. Well, and I think too, as an actor, not all actors can do that, right? Because it has to be, you have to be a certain type of actor. You have to be very giving. You have to be a good listener. And I think that's really important in improv. So that's something that he also looks for, is to make sure that it's not just people rambling, or it's not a free-for-all for the whole time.
Yep.
You have a point to the scene, and your job is to get there efficiently. But then also to be collaborative. He says that it's not like other sets where like you call people from their dressing rooms to come in and then come just film your scene and then you go back. No, he says everyone is around all the time. They're always watching each other, always watching the scenes. And it just sounds like so much fun. I would just love to be a part of it.
But you said improv makes you nervous though.
It
so
does,
how would
'cause-
you do with this?
Well, I don't know. I think I would be good at the listening part of it. I think every now and then I would have something. I wouldn't be able to come up with some of these bits that they come up with, right? And there are some of those that are written in, like Eugene Levy, for example, had the bit about his lazy eye, and when he takes his glasses off, his eyes go cross. And that was something they knew they were going to write in, and that was going to happen. So much so that Christopher Guest said, okay, well, I can't look at you on stage when you do that. I will be looking upstage because I'm going to break during that time. There's no way I can do that. The breaking, that would be hard for me. And then maybe that's the part about improv that I don't know that I would be as good at, would be to like let the scene continue and to not I don't want to say ruin it, but there's a little bit like if you break and you laugh,
You
like
ruin
then you
that
ruin
take.
that take
That
for
moment,
that person.
that moment of brilliance, and it's like we can't go back and recreate it.
Yeah.
Because it's improv, and at that point you kind of spoiled everything, and so now you have to go recreate and you have to create a new thing, and hope that everybody keeps it together on that. Yeah. That's a big deal.
Eugene Levy would break. His tactic for breaking would just be to sink down and just to like crawl off stage. Catherine O'Hara, also fantastic in this, often said that that's like his go-to, like just because he didn't want to like ruin the scene for others, but he just couldn't help, so he just like would like sneak down and then like hide behind a set piece. He said that it happened when Christopher Guest's character Corky comes out and teaches the choreography for the first time to the group. They had never seen these dances, these like large pivotal like jump forward, thrusts forward.
Yeah, lots of thrusting.
Yeah.
Lots of like sticking your chest out and doing like chest isolations.
Yeah, I think he's saying like Baby Bird when he's like showing them, and yeah, Eugene was like, I had to leave. I couldn't ruin that scene for them, but I also couldn't keep it together. He didn't want a Jimmy Fallon, right? Is that what we call that?
Yep,
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon.
Yes.
Yep.
I feel like you're pretty good at not Jimmy Fallon, wouldn't you say?
I am.
Yeah. What are your tricks to do that? To not laugh or break character?
So it's interesting because it's honestly like in a comedy, it makes me not enjoy what we're doing as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you don't get to partake.
Yeah,
in the
because I don't like allow myself to get there.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really good at playing like the straight man, like when somebody's really goofy like beside me, because I can just like listen and just like take it in and then react in a way that also like gets people to pop.
Sure.
But yeah, it makes me not enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
We used to play that game where we were on a bus. We used to do this bus trip, and we'd go and see theater up in the Twin Cities before we moved here. And everybody would try to make each other laugh. And I was the best at not laughing in this game. But then I eventually got to the point where I was like, guys, can we not play this game anymore? Like, I don't have fun when we play it. Like,
I'm too good at this game.
Yeah, it like makes me like not having a good time. So can we just do something different?
You were too good at it.
Yeah,
It wasn't fun for you. I get that. Well, so for the most part, I won't say nothing was scripted, but a good chunk of this was not scripted, except for, of course, the musical.
Yes.
The musical, the show within the show has to be scripted, and the music has to be known before.
Well, just like Spinal Tap, like the songs can't be scripted that they're singing, or it can't be improv that they're singing.
No.
So like I think it's smart to have these little musical flag posts that you're like, hey, this is very choreographed and like thought about, and then we have the moments of improvisation like in between.
Yes. They only had 4 days of rehearsal. They knew the music already and were memorized, but to do like the choreography and like the actual show, they only had 4 days to put it together, which Guest said was the perfect amount because it was under rehearsed.
Yep.
And so you could still, if you watch it, there's lots of like little like whoopses.
Yeah.
So it's like the perfect amount for like a community theater opening night, right?
Yep.
Backing up a little bit, another part that was kind of scripted, kind of not, were the audition songs.
Oh, okay.
So the actors were given suggestions on what their song maybe could be or options that they could be, and then it was up to them to decide how they wanted to show that. And for the first time, the showing Guest is the first time on camera. They didn't rehearse that ahead of time. There's no rehearsals. It all happens live in front of the camera. And so
oh my
you
gosh,
just see, like,
these auditions are so freaking funny.
It's one of my favorite parts of the film.
Oh, who's your favorite audition?
I think the Ron and Sheila, so they're a couple, they're a travel agent couple. They're kind of like the workhorses. They're always do community theater, probably a little too much.
Yep.
And they have this little choreographed bit to a song called Midnight at the Oasis.
Yeah.
It's just, I love it. You can just YouTube it, and then you can decide if you want to watch the film based on that, I would say.
We'll need some coffee to go with that ride, won't we?
Well, you're always full of surprises. But say, I wonder, do we have time for that coffee?
What time is it?
What time is it? Haven't you been paying attention? It's midnight at the Oasis.
Oh,
Thank you.
good. That was great.
Thank you.
Really good.
Well, thanks a lot. And thanks for coming. Should we leave the,
That was great. Now, why don't you just put that back there?
strike it?
Yeah.
We've done a few shows for Corky before,
Thank
so
you
we know all the
so
terms
much.
already going in. Thanks so much. It was
Thank
really
you.
fun. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. wow.
I do love I love Christopher Guest's reactions when Eugene Levy is doing his audition, because it's not very good.
It's not. It's just whatever.
But Corky looks like he's just obsessed with it. He's like, oh my gosh. And he keeps looking over at the music director, and the music director is like, you could tell he's not that impressed.
Yeah.
And he's just like, that was really good.
I also, not to jump too far ahead, but I love the dynamic between the theater director and the music director.
Yeah,
and how
for
there's
sure.
like just a constant like power struggle between
Yep,
the two of them.
which
that also feels
is
very
so
true.
freaking real. I've seen that happen like half a dozen times, which is insane.
Yep.
Music directors and directors should not have conflict that often. Or choreographers and directors. Sometimes it's that.
Oh, there's
or
always.
choreographers and music direcers. Oh my gosh, I could tell some stories.
You might have to when it comes time.
Oh, yes. I have a good music director story.
One of the other ones that I do love and I want to mention on there. So Parker Posey.
Oh, she is so cute and she's
adorable.
so funny.
She plays this like young up and coming ingenue, right, in this film.
Works at the Dairy Queen.
She works at the Dairy Queen. She's got a great little southern drawl. This was her first time working with Christopher Guest, and she was kind of new to the improv group again. But again, within 10 minutes, he said, yep, I think she can handle this. So she has, in the film, it's a song called Teacher's Pet, and that she just does this whole like dance routine to it, ends in the splits. Like, it's just super silly. Wow.
She falls backwards. Wow.
But in the deleted scene, she has a monologue that she does, and it's kind of one of those monologues that's like a bit overly dramatic, like there's someone on
Soap
life
opera
support,
style.
soap opera,
Yeah.
like someone's on life support. There's mention of incest. It's a very like it's a scene that a drama kid would use. For
and this isn't community
a
theater.
competition.
This is like college drama kid, freshman, sophomore in college, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna pull out all the stops with this one."
I'm really gonna show my range.
Yes. Incest. You were sexually assaulted. You have gotten beat up by everybody. You were bullied. You lost your mom. Everything you could think of is going to be in this.
What's great about this monologue that she does is she wrote it. She created it out of nothing. She just thought that would be fun for her character to write that. And for a while, Christopher Guest had that in the film instead of the Teacher's Pet song. He said it was the most extraordinarily bizarre scene he had ever seen, and he just loved it so much. But eventually, they just decided to go with the dance.
Yeah.
Because that was a little bit more in character
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, do you have a favorite audition scene?
I mean, besides Christopher Guest's reactions to Eugene Levy, which I just thought were so funny. I mean, probably Parker's dance to Teacher's Pet is really funny.
There is.
Rach sings that song sometimes.
Do I?
Yeah, Teacher's Pet.
I guess I do.
You do. You definitely do. You quote Parker Posey quite a bit in this movie. I don't know if you know that. You're
I
like,
didn't
come
notice
on,
that.
get a Coke. Like, you say that all the time. We can get a Coke.
Just drive in, get a Coke. Little Frosties with little swirls on top. Yeah, she's great.
See a lot of people come in. A lot of people come to the DQ. Burgers, ice cream, anything, you know. Cokes. Just drive in and get a Coke if you're thirsty.
There was another audition scene too, and this was done by a local person. They filmed this in it's just a town right outside of Austin. It starts with an L. I've got it written down in my format, but it's like at the bottom of my page, so I'm not gonna scroll. But
Yeah,
I'll
I
find
don't
it
know.
later.
Okay.
We'll call it Longford.
Okay.
Even though that's not the name of it.
Yep. This isn't by Austin, but it wasn't Lubbock.
Nope, it's
Okay.
not Lubbock, but you're close.
Okay.
Sounds like. Anyways, but a local there did that scene, that Raging Bull.
Yes. You F my wife? What? You F my wife?
He had actually done some acting before. I think he was in like Taxi or something like that, just as like a small bit part or whatever.
Yep.
And so he was a local in the town, and they said like, well, we need like some other random people to come in and audition. Would you want to read the part of Raging Bull, but read both parts? He's like, yeah, I think so.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that one's also Corky's reaction to that one also is hilarious, I believe. The music for this was written by Christopher Guest, Michael McKean. Ty, can you tell us who Michael McKean? Oh, Michael
I have no
McKean.
idea.
We talked about him last night. He's in a lot of the other films. He's not in this one, but he's in Best in Show. I think, I don't remember remember if he's in Spinal Tap. He's definitely in A Mighty Wind. He was in the Brady Bunch. He's the villain in that one.
Oh, he's the main guy in Spinal Tap.
Oh, he's the main guy in Spinal Tap. Okay,
yep.
I haven't seen it forever, but he helped. He's a
blonde-haired guy.
A writer of music as well. And then also Harry Shearer, who is also one of the guys who's in A Mighty Wind.
Oh, maybe that's who I'm thinking of.
No, Harry Shearer looks different. He does a lot of voices for like The Simpsons.
I think Harry Shearer is also in Spinal Tap. I think he's the other guitar guy.
Yeah, I should have. I honestly should have watched that before this. Okay,
he's the other guy.
Well, the three of them wrote the music for this together.
Oh, well, that makes sense because they wrote Spinal Tap together.
There you go. It makes all kinds of sense. So the title of this play. Do you remember what the title of the play is called?
I don't.
Red, White, and...
Oh, what's the name of the town?
Blaine.
Blaine, yeah. Nothing ever happens in Blaine.
Do you have a favorite song out of all of the songs in the musical?
Well, we sing this song sometimes.
What song?
It's Never Stopping, Never Always Working. It's that one.
That song is called Stool Boom.
Stool Boom!
So, Blaine, this town in Missouri, is famous because when President McKinley was stopping through, a little boy gave him a footstool, and that was the first time, apparently, that footstools were created, and he loved it, and so Blaine became the stool capital of the world.
Yep.
And then there was a big industrial revolution with the town producing stools.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. In the town that they filmed it, guests really wanted badly to like put a big banner across it, like stool capital of the world, and the town was like, no, you can't do that.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's their loss, because that would have been hilarious. Something else that the cast does that's a little unique is they get together at the end of the night and they watch the dailies.
Oh,
do you know what a dailies is?
I do, yep.
Yeah, what are dailies for the non-biz
It's like everything
folks?
that you... they quickly try to edit them together if you're on a professional set, because the dailies usually are like a bunch of raw footage, but they'll have somebody who's like quickly trying to like decipher what's usable and what's not out of all the footage they took that day. And then the director and the editor usually sit down and they watch the dailies, if they can, at the end of every day. And just see what's usable, what they need to adjust, what they need to go back and grab. But that's interesting. The whole cast watches them.
Yeah, they said because that way, as a group, you're able to kind of see where it's going. And Catherine O'Hara says too, if you don't watch the dailies, then you haven't seen the film. You don't know what the film. You know, like it's.
Yep.
You don't know what's happening. You've only seen 90 minutes of the film by the time it's done. You don't have the 58 hours of total film made down into 90 minutes, which is incredible. This takes about 18 months to edit together.
Oh, I bet they have just an outstanding number of footage.
Just constant.
But how much funny stuff is on the cutting room floor? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, and if it's on the cutting room floor just because, like, sound was off or, like, the camera
Somebody
wasn't
laughed.
focused or, something messed up the take, but you had something that was just classic.
Yeah, they talk about that a lot. They have times where, and they leave it in the film sometimes, but sometimes like a camera is shaky because the camera
Somebody's
holder is
laughing.
like can't handle it,
Yeah.
or like a moment happens that's just so jarring that the whole cast and crew just like laugh and they have to try to cut it so that they can't hear like the laugh after that.
Oh, sure.
Talking also about cutting room floor, Christopher Guest almost cut most of himself out of this film as the character Corky.
Why?
Because he didn't feel that it was grounded and he felt like it was a little like too insane and maybe too silly. But the cast watching it said, no, we have to have this character. Yeah, he's great. He's bizarre. He's eccentric. He is so full of himself. Like he has to be in this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Not completely all the way out, but so much so that it wasn't going to be the big, huge part that it is, which would be just... It wouldn't be the same film without
for
Corky,
sure.
right?
Yep. Corky is the centerpiece.
The centerpiece for which all things
Corky
flow.
St. Clair. He was a necessity.
What a name. Oh, Lockhart, Texas. There it is. It finally showed up on my... Lockhart. The stool capital of the world. In the original script, at the very end, it had a couple of different endings. They were going to have, they had some darker endings, some sadder endings. So Eugene Levy decides to go down to Miami to pursue acting, kind of like he does in this ending. But in that ending, he leaves his wife and his baby.
Oh, sure.
He just goes and does that at a retirement homes in
doll's
Florida.
house of him.
Very doll's house of him. Also, Ron and Sheila, they go to LA, but on the side, they're doing like hand cream selling or something like that. So
yep.
they go to LA, but they're not acting. And so they said, no, let's give them let's let them pursue their dream, even if it's doing kind of extra work. And then I think one of the funnier endings that they came up with, but then cut, was that Corky and a character, Steve Stark, were going to end up together living in New York City. Ty, if you had to guess from the characters in the film, who do you think Steve Stark was?
The young guy?
He is not the young guy. He's not the young guy who was in the show and then
he
quit
was the
it.
alien who got, the guy who got probed by the aliens?
Nope, not the old guy who got probed by the aliens.
I mean, not all the aliens at one time, but like one at a time, they took turns probing me.
It was, I can't think of what his profession is. He might be a pharmacist. But he's the one who wanted to audition for the show and couldn't audition. Oh my gosh. But he's is so in love with Corky.
This guy is so funny. So in the last performance, the thing that we lead up to, the climax of the movie, he is just cheesing out the entire time, and he wants to audition really bad at the beginning of the film, but Corky won't let him audition if he can't make the audition times. And he goes, "That's showbiz." Which I just loved. It's like, oh, you can't make an adjustment for this guy?
And that's it takes itself so seriously.
Look, Corky can act, he can sing, he can dance. How many other people can do that in this world? Only one. Barbara Streisand.
I knew that Corky could act and he could direct and he could produce, but who knew that he was going to act and sing and dance? You know, he can just do everything there is to do, and there's only one other person in the world that can do that, and that's Barbara Streisand. He is, I don't know, an inspiration to this town. That's what he is. And I, for one, am very glad to see that Johnny Savage dropped out of the show, because a couple years ago, he came in the drugstore and he tried to steal my stamp machine, and that kid is no good. You could tell just by his parents he's no good, and he would not have added anything to the show. Where Corky, on the other hand, look at him. Did you see? God, I wish I was in this show.
Again, and then
he's crying at the end.
Yeah, he's got a single tear while he's watching the show. This ballad,
He's so funny.
So
I love
great.
that character. That's actually the character I would want to play. I was like, oh, that guy is so funny.
Martin Short, who is really good buds with Christopher Guest, really wanted to be in this film.
Oh, okay.
Christopher Guest said, "No, you can't be in it. You're too famous.
Yeah,
you're going to
that makes
distract
sense.
from the film itself."
Yep.
And he says that to his other friends too, like Billy Crystal is one of good buddies. He said, "Billy, you probably could, but you're actually like in another stratosphere. I just can't have you in these films."
Well, and that's what I liked. So watching Spinal Tap today, seeing Billy Crystal is in like 2 seconds of the movie just as a mime waiter.
Yeah.
Like that's how you use those people. Like if Martin Short wanted to be in it, it'd be like a 2-second cameo of him like having 2 lines, and that's it. Like that's the way to use those famous guys.
Yeah. Let them know just how important they really are.
Yeah,
just
you
like
could
a
be
little snippet.
tiny second.
Let's talk a little bit about people in the cast.
Okay.
I'm gonna just start with Christopher Guest because we've been talking about him.
Sure.
But he is married to somebody very famous. Did you
I know
spoil
this.
it? How'd you know
so,
this?
So okay, Rach
oh,
goes
darn it.
last night. She goes, "Oh my god, oh my god,
I
no
said it
way,
once.
what?" And I was like, "What, Rach?" Like she was just like
baiting
me to ask like what the hell she's freaking out about. Oh my god, no way, no way. And so she finally tells me, and she's like, "Oh, you're never gonna guess who Christopher Guest is married to, and don't you dare look it up." And then today I was watching Spinal Tap, and I was like, "Is Christopher Guest British?" And so I just typed in Christopher Guest to see where he was born. No, he's born in New York. A lot of those guys are like that whole crew. Of all the Spinal Tap guys, like not all of them, but the main 3 who created the script and Rob Reiner, and
you went to school there.
They're all New York guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're born in New York and playing British guys, which is really fun. But so then I was like, oh, he's not from England, he's from New York, and then right underneath I saw spouse.
Oh.
I was like, oh,
Well, then
I spoiled it for myself.
Who is his spouse then, Ty?
Oh my gosh, I just name blanked.
Oh no, you don't remember? Well, I guess.
No,
I
I
can't
do
tell you.
remember.
We.
I remember. Hold on. Halloween. True
Halloween.
Lies.
Oh, you just can't remember her name.
Yeah, it's just her name.
It's 3 names. Jamie.
Lee Curtis.
There it is. Jamie Lee Curtis is his
Shoot!
wife
Fuck, I forget that.
of like 30 plus years. They're still married. They have 2 kids together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're going strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that? I think it's wild.
That is wild.
Put your pop down for a
I'm
second.
sorry.
Talk to me here.
Fuller's thirsty. Hope he doesn't wet the bed.
They have a deal where they don't work together on films.
I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, she's not in any of these movies unless she's in Mighty Wind or Mascots, which I saw Mighty Wind a long time ago.
No, she's not in either. I don't think.
Okay.
It was funny because I was just watching an interview today, and the interviewer was bold enough to say, like, do you think that your wife, Jamie Lee Curtis, could do this? Do you think she's one of those people that could do this type of work?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know. He said, like, she's very funny.
Uh-huh.
She's very, like,
She is
she's
funny.
whip smart, but he just said, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's like, we have an agreement not to do this with each other.
Yeah.
Because that works for us. And
Sure.
I was like, well, there you go. Keep it separate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good answer. Just Jen.
I don't know. Maybe.
Probably. He probably should have said probably. That would have been
Yeah,
better.
I was
would've
going to say,
been-
you would have been mad at me. Like, do you think...
would have been
Do you
mad.
think Rach can do this? Do you think Rach could do Shakespeare? Yeah, I do. I think she could do it. She'd be the best ever at it.
Well, now you're being
But
insincere.
who knows if she'll ever do it because she's headstrong.
She wouldn't like it. Let's see. Other things. Do you want to jump into mockumentaries, other mockumentaries from this group, this specific group, or do you want to jump into more community theater talk?
Let's go to other mockumentaries.
Okay. Other mockumentaries. You had asked that
Yeah,
I tell you these
the
in
order.
order.
Christopher Guest order.
Right. First off, let me say, just I need to put it out there, Christopher Guest doesn't really care for the term mockumentaries.
Okay.
He says that the intention is not to mock anyone, but to, I'm going to use a direct quote, to explore insulary, perhaps obscure communities through this method of filmmaking.
Okay.
He doesn't like the thing of making fun of. He's like, I'm not making
Sure.
fun of people. I'm just showing, like, human nature. Like, there are some really quirky, crazy people out there, and that's kind of a part of, like, this, I don't know, these random niche communities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it's easy to call it mockumentary because I know what we're talking about.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I understand that he doesn't want to feel like he's making fun of people, even though he is. I don't know.
He's making fun of people. Yeah, he is making fun of them. But at the same time, like, yeah, I don't think any of it's offensive. I think it's all funny.
Yeah. It's not offensive. It's funny.
Yeah.
So the first one, and that is kind of counts, kind of not, but it is Spinal Tap, even though he was just the writer for it and didn't direct it, but he did star in it. Next, so that was in 1984.
Okay.
Next would be this one. 1996, Waiting for Guffman. So
Big-
this was kind of
big
his
gap.
first mockumentary style directing gig. Was this?
Best in Show couldn't have been that much after this.
It was not. It was in 2000.
Oh, so it's still quite
Maybe 4
yeah,
years
4 years.
after this.
Okay, I was gonna guess like 98. Okay,
Best in Show, probably one of the most famous out of those, I would say.
I would say the most famous out of all his.
It's so great. I almost thought about
Maybe this
doing
is Spinal Tap.
Best in Show instead of this one,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I did
Well,
this
is that one top 5 or is it top 10 or is it not?
I think it's the infinite space between 5 and 6.
Oh, okay.
Is it
okay.
5 or is it 6? I don't know.
Okay.
I can't have all my top 5s be mockumentaries.
Yeah, that's true. Because I know another one that you have in up there.
Yeah, I also love the film Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is a mockumentary about a beauty pageant gone wrong in Minnesota. And that's also up there. And I apparently just adore this film style
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, that's
Very
true. That's a good
predictable.
point.
I have a problem, I think.
Yeah. You do. I agree.
After Best in Show, A Mighty Wind in 2003.
A lot of my top 5 have swords in them. Maybe that's the problem I have.
I appreciate you being vulnerable.
Yeah. In fact, oh my gosh. Besides Killer Clowns, all my top 5 have swords in them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh?
Wild.
So wild.
Mm-hmm.
2006, a film called For Your Consideration. Have you heard or anything about that one?
Yeah.
That one's more about Oscars,
Okay.
which is pretty fun.
I was going to say, I've heard the name, but I couldn't tell you what the topic is.
Yeah.
I've never seen that one.
Yeah, Catherine O'Hara.
That one came out when?
2006.
Oh, okay. They're like always 6 years apart.
Mhm.
Except for the first
Except
two.
for Mighty Wind in the middle of them.
Wait, Mighty Wind was in the middle?
2003.
Oh, okay.
And this
okay.
is 06.
Yep.
Yeah. Catherine O'Hara is more or less the lead in that one.
Uh-huh.
And so she's kind of an actress who gets kind of caught up in the Oscar buzz. Everyone's saying like, oh, this is it. This is your time. You're finally getting recognized. She's kind of doing a reboot of her career with this film.
This is Glenn Close. This is Glenn Close.
I guess.
Yep.
But
this
Glenn
is your
Close
year.
was actually nominated. But she's not nominated.
Oh, she doesn't even get nominated?
No, she doesn't even get nominated.
Oh, so it is
I don't think.
it's like Glenn Close Hillbilly Eulogy year.
Okay.
Elegy year.
Sure.
And everybody's like, oh, Glenn Close, she's going to get it this year.
Yeah, could be. And then, and I haven't seen this one. This is the only one of the group that I have not seen, is 2016, a show called Mascots that came out on Netflix. Ty, have you seen or heard anything about Mascots?
Nope, nothing.
Oh, well, one of the characters...
I get that's about mascots.
We get that it's about the competitive world of mascotting.
Yep.
One of the characters from Waiting for Guffman has a cameo or several cameos.
Like it's the character, not the actor?
The character. Yeah, because there are several, like Parker Posey's in Mascots and other of his favorites like Jane Lynch and Jennifer Coolidge are all in this. But no, a character, a named character in Waiting for Guffman is also in Mascots.
Huh.
Who would be like the most fun character to be in both?
I mean, maybe Eugene Levy's character?
No,
Dentist?
good guess though. Somebody
I
who's...
don't know. Who would be the most fun? Yeah, I don't know.
Who's the craziest character in
Corky.
Waiting? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Corky St. Clair is in Mascots.
Oh, gotcha.
As himself. Or guest as
He'd just
that.
be a lot older. That's why it threw me off. I was like, he'd be like in his 50s, 60s as a mascot.
I don't know if he is a mascot. He's in the show.
Oh, I thought he was one of the mascots.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
No,
okay.
I don't think he's a... Yeah, well, I guess I don't. I've never seen it. I doubt it. Because
Okay.
you're right. He is so much older.
Yeah.
I don't know if guests can move that way. But he is in the show. So I almost want to watch it just for that very fact.
Sure.
Yeah. Speaking of my favorite genre of films, mockumentaries, can you think of other mockumentary style movies?
Besides Drop Dead Gorgeous?
Mm-hmm.
No. I don't actually. I can't think of anything.
Here's a couple that come to mind. What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's a mockumentary style. Also, we are watching the TV show of that and really enjoying
The
our
movie
way
is
that.
also really fun. You
Is it?
like the movie, but the TV show is awesome.
Yeah, we're having a good time with that.
Yep.
Again, it's that style. I don't know. I don't know if it has to be that style, but it just is always just so funny. I don't know what it is. Borat is technically in that style. One that came up a lot, and I've never seen this, is Man Bites Dog.
Mm-mm.
Have you heard of that?
Never.
Nope. Okay, moving on. Troll Hunter. Have you heard of that one?
Yes, I have. Troll!
Oh, is that one?
That's Troll Hunter.
Oh,
You've seen Troll Hunter.
I did see that. Good for me. I thought it was whatever.
What do you mean whatever? It was great.
And then there's cartoon versions of it too. So Surf's Up is an animated film about surfing with penguins, and it's also in a mockumentary style, which is also very delightful.
Yeah, that's pretty
if you've
funny.
seen it. It's very cute. And then of course we have the TV side of it.
Thousands.
Right? Thousands of TV shows. Maybe too many at this point.
Yeah, I would say we need to cool it on it.
I know. So fun though. And sometimes it doesn't always make sense. So I think of like shows like A Modern Family, which was so funny, but I don't know that it needed that.
Yeah,
I wish there was a different way.
It really didn't make any sense why they had to do that. I think they should have just done it without explaining that there's a camera crew around this family.
I needed to suspend disbelief, and maybe they could still do like interviews or something if they wanted to, but we don't need had to have it feel like a unsteady cam in the house watching people, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. I can't really suspend disbelief for that.
Yep, great show though, but
Great show.
I would
Wonderful
I would
show.
definitely say we didn't need any of the mockumentary stuff for that.
Yeah. All right, let's get into budget. Unless, wait a second. No, I almost skipped the best part. We're going to tell community theater stories.
Oh,
you little
no.
rascal. You almost had me reading reviews.
Oops.
Back it up. Up the page we go. Community theater. So this is more just a general topic.
What do you want to know?
Give me one of your favorite community theater productions that you were a part of. And it has to be specifically community theater, so not something that you were paid to do, but like true community theater. Maybe even pre-cities, I would say.
No.
Because that feels a little bit of a different level.
We did Little Shop together.
Yes.
And okay, but that was crazy.
Don't steal
because
mine.
We directed it and we starred in it. And it was a little too much.
was
And
a lot.
speaking of watching the dailies, that's how we how we figured out what to do performance-wise. We watch it
gave
and give each
ourselves
other notes. Yep, and be like, okay, let's change this for tomorrow night. And then, we didn't change it enough. It still looks the same. We need to go farther in that direction.
Yeah, Ty would have extensive notes for me, hours of notes for me, and I would just watch them over and over.
And Catherine O'Hara has that line where she's like, yeah, he's been working with me a lot on trying to ignore my instincts.
Yeah, her husband likes to overcoach her, and it's just, oh my God, it's so funny.
Yeah. So I mean, that one comes to mind.
Yeah, that's one of my faves. Other ones that are some of your faves?
Pre-cities. Oh, I don't know. That's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For me, I think when we did Back to the 80s, that was so fun because I
Sure.
had all of my sisters were in it.
Yeah, that was a
and
really
we
fun
had
cast.
a good group. I thought it was
That was a
pretty-
very talented crew.
That was a very talented group.
Yeah,
so.
but I mean, somebody's on Broadway now from that cast. Kudos to
Ooh,
Codes.
shout out. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was fun. And it was 80s style,
That
which
one
is also
was
a good time.
That one was really fun.
Yeah. Any good community theater stories you want to
Okay.
share? I told you to think about it.
I know. I have a few. Okay, so listen to
Wait,
this.
are they appropriate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appropriate enough.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so this one time we were all naked. I'm just kidding. So talking about music directors in conflict with other people in the cast or in the show.
Oh, fun. Are you going to use names or are we going to dance around it?
Maybe dance
I have no idea who
somewhat,
you're
but I
talking
might use names. Okay. So here's a story for you. Doing a little spicy production called Happy Elf. And it was terrible. It's a terrible production. Everybody involved with this should be ashamed of themselves, but moving on.
You just straight up named it, didn't you?
So we're doing this production of Happy Elf. And there is the music director who is really old, and he's kind of like gruff, and he's giving like mean notes to us all the time. Like he just say things like, "Oh, I just don't like how your voice sounds. Like if we really should have found somebody else to play this part. Your voice just doesn't sound right for the character."
Oh my gosh.
And so he'll say things like this to all the leads. Like I got that once. The main guy got it all the time. Which my buddy Sammy V, he did a fine job. I don't know why he was so hard on him. But so there was this moment where we'd give notes at the end of the show, and dance, the choreographer person, the dance captains, they're always notorious for giving like hour-long notes. Dance people give the longest notes. They're so particular, and most of the cast you can tell is like glazed over, and there'll be like a few dance people who are like, I know exactly what you mean there. Yeah, we need to snap on the left, and we need to hook with the right shoulder and not with the left. And so they'll just get so specific, and they'll take forever. And you can tell that most of the cast is like falling asleep. And this went on for like a week, where these dance gals were giving these long ass notes. We were there forever. And then the music guy would get up there to give notes, and the director would go, all right, speed this up, go faster. And she'd like snap at him, and he was finally, he had enough. He was already gruff. He was already kind of a dick. And so he grabbed my buddy Maddie, had his music binder sitting on this music stand. He grabs his music binder, and he throws it against this brick wall, and it explodes, and music goes everywhere. And my buddy Matty goes, "That was my binder!" And he just started throwing F-bombs, and he ran out of the theater, like, cussing and stuff. And she had to chase after him to try to get him back in the theater. And I was just like,
so fun.
this is amazing.
I
This
love
theater is better than any theater we're about to show an audience. Because this is a show. This is great.
Well, and that's a moment that even happens in this play, is they get into an argument, and they argue in front of the cast, and it's very awkward. And
Why
then
are you
someone's-
whispering?
Don't
Why are you whispering?
talk to me like a normal person.
Well, now you're yelling. Talk to me like a normal person.
And it's uncomfortable for the cast. And the director quits at one point and just like refuses to show up. And it's just like, oh, that's, I think, one of the things that is fun about this. While these are all obviously crazy characters, but they're all are based in reality. Like Christopher Guest took people that he knew from the regional theater circuit and put them together to make like aspects of this character. Like he just people who are just so oblivious to their level of talent, but so passionate about the art form. And, same with like the couple with Fred Willard and Catherine O'Hara. Like, again, those theater workhorse couples that just don't know when to hang it up or move on.
Have you ever met in the community theater world the cocky community theater actor or actress who hasn't done anything like professionally, but they think they're the shit? Like, they're just like, I'm King Cock. I've been at this theater forever. I've worked with everybody there is to work with. I'll show you the ropes, kid. And they're literally have never gotten paid for the craft. Mm-hmm. You met that person?
Yeah, I'm not gonna name any.
You know
of
what
those
I
people,
love?
But yeah,
So,
I know the type. I'm familiar.
In Sioux City, there was one of these individuals. I won't name them.
Don't name anybody, please.
But I would if I could. And my dad has a tendency to like talk shit to people without realizing he's doing it. It's like
just very blunt.
It's like it comes out of his mouth and he doesn't even realize he's doing it. And then my mom would be like, "Why would you say that?" And I'll be like, "Oh, what did I say? Oh my gosh, why did I say that? I don't know why I said that." So he's up talking to this guy who thinks he's cock shit in Seussical the Musical. He's sitting there and he's like, "Oh, I'm the best," or whatever. And after the show, my dad goes up to him and he's like, "Oh, are you Ty's dad?" And he's like, "Yeah. Hey, you did a really nice job. You were a little pitchy, but like it wasn't bad. Not much of a singer, I'm guessing."
Why would your dad say that?
I don't know. My mom was like mortified.
I'm sure.
And then when my mom tells me about it afterwards, I was like, "Oh, he said that to that person? That's amazing." Because that person is the worst backstage.
Needed to hear
So
it.
that is awesome, Dad.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, put them in their place.
Oh, that's fantastic. One of my favorite memories of community theater is, this goes back to when we did Little Shop and we're driving down the highway because we borrowed a giant Audrey 2 from a community college and we have it wrapped in the back of your dad's truck and maybe it's becoming airborne at times. It's hard to say. The wind's maybe catching in the mouth a little bit.
Sure, yep.
just makeshift, like we just gotta get this off the highway and we'll be okay.
Yep. We took back roads home, so we didn't have to go the full speed limit.
We did.
Yep.
But that's that love of the art, and you're just making it work, people. Make it work.
Make magic happen.
What is the worst community theater warm-up that you have to do?
Oh, so they did this in the movie. Yeah. I hate when you have to play these weird ass games that are meant to like make the cast get closer at the beginning of the process. And they even say this. They're like, Corky's games, you never know what he's trying to accomplish with them, but you know they're really important or something like that. And he's like playing the bongos and they're all like dancing.
Yep.
I love Fred Willard does the thing with the scarf, but then he does it to Eugene Levy. He's like, "I'll do it to her and I'll do it to her, but not him. I won't do it to him."
He explains his jokes. He's just, Fred Willard is, Christopher Guest talks about Fred Willard just being on like another level. Like sometimes he will just go on and like he's just like from another world. He's just mesmerized by him. He's like, I can't look away.
Oh my gosh. But so those beginning process games that are meant to join a cast together, I frequently think this is a stupid bullshit game that's meant to just waste time because you don't want to get into the script yet. And so we'll just do your dumbass stuff for like the rest of the night. And usually don't think that it accomplishes hardly anything. A few times that isn't true. And if you're a director who's listening to this, I'm sure you're in the latter. But a lot of times I feel like they're a huge waste of time.
I had an experience where I worked at a community theater that was through a Catholic school in town. And one of the warm-ups, or I guess the wrap-up cheer or chant or whatever we do, was very isolating to those of us who were not a part of the school and who were not. Again, it was
like
a
it was their school
theater.
song.
It was kind of, well, it was a chant, and I wish I could remember it because the chant talked about not only like religious pieces like Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, and then it would say "Go football," and like these were the theater kids chant. So it was like whatever the chant was, it was clearly what the football team yells in their huddle before they break.
Yep.
And then the theater kids were like, "Yep, we're community. We're gonna yell that too." but we're not going to update it for the theater.
Uh-huh.
It was bizarre on multiple levels.
Sure.
Bizarre in the fact that, like, well, this is the summer gig, and most of us here are not alums of this school. We're just random community members doing Chicago in the middle of St. Paul. But yeah, it was so bizarre, and they wondered why some of us didn't participate, and I was like, why would I jump into your football huddle? Like, that doesn't make any sense. If you guys had a different huddle, maybe I'd learn it, but I'm not gonna learn your football chant. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I'm not 16 anymore. Nor if I was, I still wouldn't.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
The best theater games.
Theater games.
I also hate Zip Zap Zop, but that's
me
because
too.
I don't understand it. I don't get.
There's
I don't get how
way
it
better
works.
games out there than Zip Zap Zop.
Is it to teach listening? Is
Yeah,
that what it's to teach?
listening and concentration.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yep.
I'm like,
No.
oh, what's the point of that game?
It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
All the fun stuff. All theater games.
Yep.
All right. Any other stories you want to tell before I get to the budget?
Man, let me think on it, and
All
I
right.
might chime back in.
You're welcome to chime back in if you have one more theater story you want to tell.
I mean, I have some dirty ones.
You have some dirty ones.
I have some dirty ones. I have some ones that I'm ashamed of.
Oh.
There's a lot.
A lot of shame. Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of shame in the community theater.
There
sometimes.
is.
I hear that.
Yeah, there's a lot of shame in community theater.
That I love. That I love. All right, budget for this film, minuscule. $4 million. Like, not a ton. I should say that all the actors are paid the same amount, including Christopher Guest.
Oh, cool.
They all get a lump sum share of the profits that they make from the show. So it tries to kind of help with like egos. There's no egos. That's how it works. It's just where it's an ensemble based.
Even though Fred
show.
Willard had done so many shows with Corky before, he didn't make any more.
We know we're strike. We know the lingo.
Oh yeah. You want me to strike this? We've worked with Corky before. We know the lingo.
Opening U.S. January 1997, it made only $40,000.
That's not surprising.
It had a very, very small opening weekend, and then went on in the theaters to only make $2 million.
Yeah.
So technically, if we're going off of just the theater piece of it, she a flop.
Yeah. Yep.
She's a flop, which makes sense because people haven't seen this. Although I would classify this, and tell me if you think this is too strong. I think this is a cult classic.
Yeah.
I think for some people, this is technically meets that definition.
You know what's interesting? So I think our group of kids, like when we were in college, all the folks would have heard of this movie at least. But now I don't think any of the chillins, I don't think any of the kiddies know about this one.
Yeah.
Yep. I just
Gen
have...
Gen X doesn't know this movie.
Oh, you mean the Gen Zers?
That's what I meant.
The Zs.
The ZZs.
The ZZs don't know this one.
that's
But
fair.
I think the Xers and the Millens, I think we all were aware of it, whether we had seen it or not.
I couldn't find out how much it has gone on to make, like, via DVDs and
I mean, it had to
$20
be-
streaming costs.
It had to be somewhat successful because they made more of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was enough, or maybe somebody just saw potential. They were like, your marketing was off. I think if we do this best in show, this dog one, I see how it will, how we can make this happen.
I think, too, Christopher Guest talks about the budget being so small. Like, it's not even, like, a blip on most productions' radar. Like,
Sure.
he makes a joke, like, that's, like, the after party for the movie that you make is, like, $4 million. Like, that's what not the film itself.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
So, yeah, so he says that he's kind of given a little bit carte blanche because he keeps it so small.
Yeah.
Some reviews from
'Kay.
this. This is kind of random. So in 2022, Variety listed this as one of the top 100 movies of all time.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what number it is, and I don't know why Variety made that list in 2022. But it talked about the comedy being touching as it is hilarious, and the ultimate cult film for a newly liberated generation.
Okay.
So maybe it's getting a comeback again. Maybe
Yeah.
people are kind of like coming around and be like, oh, this is
For
pretty
sure.
good.
Comeback City for
Comeback
Corky.
City, Corky.
Saint. Oh gosh.
Corky, we love you. We love you, Corky. We want you to live. Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars.
Oh, okay.
And he said, attention is paid not simply to funny characters and punchlines, but to small nudges at human nature. I think I would agree with that. Yeah, I can see real people in this, and I can see some critiques on human nature as well. Oh, before I forget, the musical Red, White, and Blaine.
Yeah.
Somebody actually did the musical Red, White, and Blaine in Chicago.
Oh, great.
Like in 2014.
Oh, we didn't talk about this, but the pre-show music they do is gorgeous.
Oh, before
the
overture, the musical.
The overture is awesome.
Yeah. And it's so impressive. They're all in tuxes.
Yep.
And
there's a trumpet player who plays a bunch of percussion.
He's playing the timpani in one hand and the
bells
trumpet
at one
in the
point.
other. Yeah, and I think that's also this like joke too. Is like you've got bless these actors' hearts. You've got these actors who are up there sweating and thinking they're doing the Lord's work on the stage, but then you've got some like really talented musicians down in the pit.
That
like,
is true.
Actually playing.
That
music.
is true. You're like, oh, you are like the most talent is usually in the pit.
Oh, absolutely.
But not always. Sometimes it's the high school pit. And sometimes it's like you're in a show with a bunch of 30 and 40-year-olds and you're like, how the hell did we get a bunch of high school kids doing the show this summer?
Right?
It's like,
but yes, I think for me, the joke that I take out of that is like, wow, that was a gorgeous overture, and now we're just gonna hoe down all over it, and it's gonna be like subpar acting and singing on stage. The poor band has to listen to this the whole time.
Yep.
But they all take it so seriously, and you know that they love doing it, and they're so excited to be a part of it, even if it's in the pit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great. And that's what it is. That's what it's really like.
Penny for your thoughts.
Critics' consensus, ready for that?
Sure.
Okay, this righteously deadpan mockumentary about aspiring community theater performers never stoops to ridicule oft ridiculous characters.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes? 91%.
Whoa.
Audience? What do you think the audience is?
I'm going to say 86%.
91%.
Oh, wow.
It's a tie.
It's a tie.
It's a tie. Audience
Wowza.
and critics lock step.
Wow.
I didn't get into any of the negative reviews. There are some that get into just the fact of it, like poking fun at small townness and like, oh, that's an easy target. You're making fun of a small town. It's like
It's great. I'm from a smallish town, 15K, and I think we deserve to be made fun of sometimes. It's awesome.
I think it was a review written by somebody in a small town.
Yeah. Yep.
Probably.
Yep.
And then, you have the caricature of Corky being like this obviously flamboyantly gay person, and how that's maybe not a great caricature. But I want to push back on that a little bit, because I also think that Corky is so crazy, not because he's gay necessarily, but because he's quirky. Like he's just a very eccentric character, and that is only like one shade of who that character is and why that's funny, of being this like flamboyantly gay man in a small town in Missouri. Like that's funny. It's a situational funny thing.
Who just because he's from New York thinks he knows everything there is about theater.
Yeah.
That's part of the charm too.
That's
it's
funny.
like he thinks he's God's gift and he hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a moment where Catherine O'Hara is wording the lines to
She's mouthing, so her husband and her are doing a scene, and he's saying some lines, and as he's saying them, she's like mouthing the words that he's saying, which is really funny because that does happen sometimes.
Definitely happens. I know I've done that to you, and you've done that to me.
I have never.
Yeah,
in scenes we have.
But it's the tiniest amount. Like, she was very like open with it, but it's usually just like these lip quivers that you're like, and it's always on stuff that you haven't rehearsed that much.
Sure.
It's never like the thing that you've been rehearsing for 3 months. It's the thing that you've been doing for like 5 days, and you're like, that's something, right? You know what I'm saying, right? So yeah, that is something that looked a little familiar.
That's funny.
Yeah. All
right, are you ready?
For my review?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I have some other things.
Oh, well, why did you let me give you the critics' consensus?
I thought that you were just there, and then you're like, what do you want to talk about now?
All right.
Parker Posey reminds me of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just like some of her like cute little isms that she does. I thought that was very, very charming. Kathy O'Hara, I love her cockatoo hair.
Oh my gosh, she has these bangs that are just like straight up and over, almost a little bit like Something About Mary style, but it's hairspray.
Hey, do you have some favorite lines in this?
Oh, I have lots of favorite lines.
I have 3 written down. I actually have more than that, but
I'll just give you one. When they're interviewing Eugene Levy for the first time, and they're asking like, "Oh, you must have been the class clown," and he's like, "Well, No, I wasn't the class clown, but I studied him and I learned his methods. Something like that. I'll try to find it.
So I love this one from Parker Posey. What New York really is it's an island. Lots of people, lots of different people. Help to maybe meet some guys, some Italian guys, maybe watch some TV. It's like, what? You're hoping to watch TV in New York? So the I just thought it was so freaking funny.
That's so sweet.
And then the mayor of the town, at the beginning, he talks about, they say in Missouri, all you got to do is, for the weather to change, you got to wait 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking for rain. Well, we believe with hard work, we can get that down to 3 or 4 minutes tops.
It's so sweet. Funny. It's so funny. Oh, that's a good one. Gosh, I mean, there's so many. It's just such a quotable movie.
Yep. It has so many like quick little hits. Mm-hmm. And it's almost built in a way that it's like segmented. It's almost like they're doing like small skits within the movie with a through line, but there's these small little segmented skits throughout too.
Yeah. I wouldn't even know where to go from there. There's just too much. You guys just have to watch it. It's so fun.
Yeah, give it a go. It's an hour and 20 minutes.
It's so fast.
All of his movies are super short.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I'm left wanting more.
It almost feels like you could marathon all the Christopher Guest movies and it wouldn't even take that much of your day.
Yeah. Sounds like a great day.
Yeah.
I love that
You
idea.
could watch 2.5 Christopher Guest movies in the amount of time it takes you to watch Wakanda Forever.
Oh, there you go.
You could watch the entire catalog if you watched Wakanda Forever and Eternals. So, and let me be honest with you.
There you go.
You were better off watching the Christopher Guest collection.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, 100%. For Eternals, 100%. Wakanda Forever, I'll listen to arguments, but I would say, yeah, definitely.
Other thoughts or...
No, I'm ready if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Go for it.
Okay, here we go. Go bite your pillow, you bastards. This movie will bring you a little too close to the sun if you grew up a theater kid. But it will elicit giggles from coast to coast if you count the Mississippi River as one of the coasts. 69%, tied with Teen Wolf and Ever After.
Oh, okay.
Good company.
Great company.
It's hard. We're in a logjam, man. Like
you are definitely stuck.
Between 68% and 75% is so many movies that it's almost impossible to navigate. I would say ignore the numbers and more think about what movies it's around.
Yeah, for sure.
Than think about numbers.
Well, for me, I had to do some soul searching, but then I decided that this is 100%.
It has to be. It's your favorite movie.
This is my favorite movie. I'm going to start giving out hundreds a lot more often because, honestly, there are just some movies that I just think are about as perfect as it gets.
Yeah.
This one, there's a couple I need to go back that I gave like a 96 or 97 to.
You gotta bump them.
Like, You've Got Mail. I think, like, it's a perfect movie.
Yeah.
What would I change about it?
Yep.
Nothing. It's perfect.
If there's nothing to change, it's
100%.
time to bump it. Yeah. I think all my movies need to shift up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to start shifting up this season.
Nice.
The season of the shift up.
Yep.
Get ready, guys.
Get ready. It's happening. It's happening.
Well... So that wraps the first episode.
Episode 1 in the books.
In the books. Ty, what's in store for us next week? What do you have?
We're going to continue down the train of top fives. Mm-hmm. And we are going across the old pond for this next flick. I will require about 3.5 hours of your time.
Is this like an extended version or is that the real version?
No, this is a real version, but we'll talk about an extended version next week. Because we are going to be watching a movie about freedom. A movie about love. Mm-hmm. Love of each other, love of your country. We are going to watch a movie with claymores in kilts, maybe not time period appropriate. We'll get into it. And makeup that's probably from like 1,000 years before. We're going to get into all the history of it. We're going to watch a movie next week that will blow your minds. An epic of great proportion. We are going to watch the movie, the Mel Gibson classic, the Academy Award winner, Braveheart. Get that tongue ready. You're going to be rolling it. Braveheart.